right now at 11, breaking news all over Wave Country.
In the wake of explosive sexual abuse allegations, embattled Kentucky State Representative Dan Johnson commits suicide. Team coverage tonight. We'll be live tonight on the scene of an officer-involved shooting. What led police to shoot a man in the leg? Up next.
U of L hits back at Rick Pitino as the 2013 national title hangs in the balance. The news starts now.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
And breaking right now, just one day after Kentucky State Representative Pope Dan Johnson refused to resign from office amid sexual harassment allegations, he's committed suicide. The coroner says Johnson died from a single gunshot wound.
He posted what appears to be a suicide note on his Facebook page. His body was found tonight on Greenwell Ford Road in Mount Washington. It is right next to the Salt River.
And we have team coverage for you tonight. David Mattingly standing by with community reaction. But we begin with Sharon Yu. She's live at the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office. And Sharon, what's the latest you've been updated with there tonight?
Scott, we heard from the Bullitt County coroner just a little over an hour ago, and he confirmed that Representative Dan Johnson died of probable suicide by a single gunshot wound. The coroner says he was notified of this incident by dispatch at around 7:30 this evening. The entire team then responded to Greenwell Ford Road that branches off Highway 150 in Mount Washington. There they found an SUV that belongs to Representative Johnson that had been parked near the bridge that goes over the Salt River. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Office says the Facebook post that Representative Johnson made prior to this incident was crucial in finding Johnson. He said someone saw that post, was alarmed, and called law enforcement. They were then able to ping Johnson's cell phone to find him out in a rural area in Mount Washington.
He drove his car over the bridge, pulled over to the side of the road, stopped, got out, and standing in front of his vehicle from the way the scene looked when I got here.
Anytime anything like this happens is a tragedy, and you know, it's just something we deal with in law enforcement, and it never gets any easier.
The coroner says at this point the family has been notified and that an autopsy will be conducted tomorrow morning. Live in Bullitt County, Sharon Yu, Wave 3 News.
And the news of Johnson's death making national headlines tonight.
And we're also getting reaction from politicians all over the country.
Wave 3 News reporter David Mattingly continuing our team coverage from the Heart of Fire Church in Fern Creek, where Johnson was the pastor.
Just yesterday, Johnson was on stage here with his supporters refuting all of the claims against him, and apparently he continued to do so right up until the very end with that Facebook post today. But here he was refuting all the claims that were coming out of that multi-part report from the Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting that was published on Monday. A woman claimed he sexually assaulted her when she was 17 after a New Year's Eve party several years ago. Johnson and his wife vehemently denied those allegations in his church, and that was just a little over 24 hours ago.
This allegation concerning this lady, this young girl, absolutely has no merit.
Bizarre. Crazy. My husband and I do everything together. Anybody that's ever seen anything in the paper, anywhere we go, anything we do, we're together.
Kentucky politicians tonight were quick to react to the news. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul tweeting, "Just terrible news from Kentucky tonight on the passing of Representative Dan Johnson. I cannot imagine his pain or the heartbreak his family is dealing with tonight. Kelly and I pray for his loved ones." Governor Matt Bevin tweeting, "My heart breaks for his wife and children. These are heavy days in Frankfort and America. May God shed his grace on all of us. We sure need it." And at this point, there has been virtually no activity here at the church, where so many of his followers became so close to him and were so supportive of him through his short political career, and in the brief time that he was enduring this firestorm of scrutiny after those reports. But you could tell by the reaction to his post on Facebook that many of his friends were shocked and deeply saddened by his passing. Reporting live in Fern Creek, David Mattingly, Wave 3 News.
And Louisville Public Media, which owns the Kentucky Center for Investigative Reporting, releasing a statement tonight saying in part, We grieve for family, Johnson's family, friends, church community, and constituents. Our aim, as always, to provide the public with fact-based, unbiased reporting and hold public officials accountable for their actions.
And Johnson attracted national attention while running for office in 2016 because of his Facebook posts depicting the Obamas as apes. Strongly supporting President Trump, Johnson beat the incumbent, Democrat Linda Belcher, for the seat.
Johnson represented the 49th district, which covers Bullitt County. His seat in the State House of Representatives will remain vacant until Governor Bevin calls for a special election. Many developments on this story coming in the days ahead. Will continue to keep you updated on the free Wave 3 News app.
And we're also following more breaking news in Louisville's California neighborhood tonight. An officer-involved shooting that took place at a Family Dollar store. It started just before 9 with a robbery at that store near 12th and Broadway. Wave 3 News reporter Jabina Fortson just got an update from police on exactly what happened there, Jabina.
Police got a call about an armed robbery here at the Family Dollar. Now, when they got here, they surrounded the building and found a man towards the back. When they located that suspect, he had cash from the Family Dollar as well as a handgun. That suspect refused to put the gun down, according to police. That's when one officer fired a shot and struck that suspect in the leg. That suspect is expected to be okay.
No officers were injured. Only one officer fired. Tomorrow we'll get more information, but that's where we are tonight.
LMPD's Public Integrity Unit is investigating this case, and those officers involved in the incident have been put on administrative reassignment. Reporting live, Jobina Fordson, Wave 3 News.
Breaking news all over Wave Country. A semi burst into flames on notorious Hospital Curve. It could mean big trouble for your morning commute.
Another violent night on the streets of Louisville. A man shot and killed blocks from a YMCA and JCPS high school.
No police violence in our schools.
Protests bring a JCPS board meeting to a halt as the debate rages over officers in your child's school.
An overwhelming rejection. What's next for these deteriorating southern Indiana schools? The news starts now.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
And breaking right now, a fiery semi-crash shutting down a busy interstate right here in the heart of downtown Louisville, and it definitely could impact your morning commute. Thanks for joining us here on Wave 3 News at 11. I'm Scott Reynolds.
And I'm Shannon Kogan. That crash happened in Hospital Curve around 8:30 tonight, setting off a massive fireball. I-65 southbound expected to be closed at Jefferson Street until the morning.
Air 3 giving us a live look at the area right now. The northbound lanes of I-65, they are back open. Wave 3 News reporter William Joy was there right after the crash happened. And William, did this fiery wreck cause any damage to the bridge there at the St. Catherine area?
Right now, hazmat crews and public health officials are walking around inspecting and looking over both the interstate and the crash. And if you look right behind me, 2 large tow trucks have been brought in to help with this crash. And just to the left of the actual tractor trailer, you can see a dumpster was just brought in minutes ago. I want you to take a look at this video from earlier, though. Not only was the truck on fire, but the road around it was lit up. The truck is believed to be the only vehicle involved, and the driver does not have serious injuries. Tonight, I spoke with a JCPS teacher who helped pull the driver out. He said he was driving home northbound when he stopped, hopped the barrier, and then helped an LMPD officer break a window and grab the driver out.
One of the things that struck me the most was when I pulled him, when we pulled him out, he turned to me and said he thought he was going to die in there, which was kind of like a surreal moment for me.
Just a few weeks ago, this road was resurfaced with a new high friction surface that was supposed to help prevent crashes, and tonight it's shut down, damaged, and covered in fuel. Reporting live, William Joy, Wave 3 News.
This wreck has the potential to make your morning commute into downtown Louisville extremely dicey. 65 South will be shut down at the Jefferson Street exit. Right now, all drivers coming into the city on 65 South are being diverted onto the Jefferson Street exit right into downtown Louisville. there's the potential drivers will not be allowed onto 65 South at all in the morning, and that they'll actually have to take 64 to downtown. Be sure to plan your commute accordingly.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
Thanks for joining us for Wave 3 News at 11. I'm Shannon Kogan. In just a minute, we're going to head out to Anchorage, where there was a shooting there, and we know that 2 people were killed behind a home. But first, an LMPD officer rushed to the hospital tonight after a pursuit ends in a violent wreck in Portland. The LMPD cruiser left crumpled and smoking. After that crash on 26th and Duncan Streets, has happened about 8 o'clock tonight. The streets of downtown Louisville shut down so that the ambulance could be escorted down Broadway to get to University Hospital as quickly as possible. And that is where we find my co-anchor tonight, Wave 3 News' Scott Reynolds. And do we know how that officer is doing?
Shannon, we do not. We are waiting for somebody from LMPD to come out and
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
And breaking right now, Salem, Indiana, devastated by extreme flash flooding. Look how deep it is. This was the scene from Air 3 right at sunset. Trucks, cars destroyed, swept away by that dangerous and fast-moving torrent of water. And that's just a fraction of the destruction that severe weather brought to Wave Country today. Good evening and welcome here to Wave 3 News at 11. I'm Scott Reynolds.
And I'm Shannon Kogan. Severe weather zeroing in on Wave Country. Floods and tornadoes causing extensive damage across southern Indiana. In Crawford County, a tornado ripped through farmland near the town of Sulphur. A viewer sent us some video of the tornado touching down. You can see that huge funnel cloud spinning in the distance. And then the destruction. A barn or shed type building ripped apart. A trailer turned on its side. No one there was hurt.
And then a state of emergency issued in Washington County when extreme flash flooding surged through the town of Salem. Dramatic pictures from Air 3 capturing that rushing floodwater and tossing around the cars and the huge box truck. Stranded drivers had to be rescued from their vehicles as emergency workers navigated the chaos in some boats. We start tonight with team coverage of tonight's flooding and all the severe weather.
Meteorologist Ryan Hoke is breaking down the tornado damage. Reporter William Joy has been navigating the floodwaters in Salem, but we begin with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett, who is live with the Salem Mayor and Fire Chief tonight, and this cleanup is going to take some time, Kevin.
Well, you're right about that. About 5 to 6 inches of rain has fallen here in Washington County. Of course, the town is split by the Blue River. This runs about 57 miles across Washington, Crawford, and Harrison counties. Here in Washington County near Salem, behind us, you can see some of the holding tanks that were broke loose from one of the factories here. Those now crunched up against the bridge on South Main Street. I have Mayor Troy Mary here and the Fire Chief Tom Day. Thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. Let's talk about where we stand now.
Well, I mean, it's just devastating for the community. You know, I've lived here all my life, and I've seen this Blue River flood before, but I've never seen a flood like this. You know, a lot of local businesses here are devastated tonight with this.
It really is devastating. The sounds are eerie tonight. The creaking, the cracking of the objects that are in the water moving downstream as the waters recede. Chief, tell us what happens from this point forward. There's a lot of work to be done.
There's a lot of work to be done. The waters are starting to recede, but a lot of the damage we're not going to know anything about until sometime in the morning when daylight cracks. I mean, if you look up the way here, you can still see semi-trailers in the water. These are still headed down towards this bridge. We hope they stay where they're at and don't lose their positioning. But like you said before, the majority of the problem right now is the bridge here on South Main Street, these 2 large tanks, and then there's about 3 semi-trailers as well that have floated down and wedged themselves against the bridge and done some damage here.
And in addition to the bridge and what we've seen on this side, the city sort of split in half. On the other side, we've had a number of rescues. In fact, dozens of people have been rescued from emergency personnel tonight.
Yes, the fire department went on. I forget exactly how many rescues they had. I know they had to go on one down at a local business here in Salem. They had to rescue a family out of there, and then fire chief said they had to go on, what, 2 or 3 more?
Yeah. We've rescued somewhere between 12 and 20 people tonight in different instances.
And as far as we know, there have been no major injuries.
As far as we know, there's been no injuries or anything like that.
A lot of people still struggling regardless. Wave 3's William Joy is on the other side of the bridge. And William, I know you've talked to a lot of people who have been impacted by this flooding.
Kevin, there are a lot of people throughout Salem, like you said, who have been affected, but it is crazy just how fast the water has gone down, even in the past couple hours. I want you to check this out. You can see the high water line over here. Just a few hours ago, it was up to our chests. And look down over here, this drain is working overtime. But here's the kicker. If you walk right back over here, this parking lot still has feet of water left in it, still remaining to be drained. Like you said, there are people throughout Salem tonight who have lost businesses, cars, and more.
It was up to the drive-thru probably faster than I can even remember.
Josh Nicholson was called to Arby's by his boss when the power went out at 4. By 6:30, the water had risen by a couple feet.
Never seen a car moved by water before.
We were at a restaurant a couple miles down the road, and they told us to get out because the water was coming into the building.
Tiffany Shockey's mother-in-law and another friend owned 2 of the submerged cars. 5th grade parents here in Salem left them there before heading out on a field trip.
They're pissed. They're crying, you know. It's terrible. It's a poor city. This sucks for everybody. I mean, we just went through the whole tornado thing.
We had some boys practicing basketball, and they said water was coming into the gym.
Teacher and coach Dwayne Malloy was hosting a softball senior night at Salem Middle School when the flooding started. Water broke through a retaining wall and filled the basement that held an IT lab.
It's going to be a lot of damage, and they're working hard to repair it right now and clean it up, but there's probably 25 to 30 computers down there.
The school will also have to fix a softball field that's gone through $10,000 worth of renovations. The good news is officials say so far no one has been found dead or injured.
It's discouraging, but over time, you know, things will be rebuilt, things will be repaired. You know, I know people will pitch in to help.
A lot of the people that we talked to said that this is just a reminder of the power of nature. They said you get those flash flood warnings, you don't always take them seriously, but this is a reminder of just how important they are, Kevin.
You're right about that, William. In fact, the cleanup will take days, if not weeks and months here in Salem, Indiana, and still to see what happens overnight tonight. This afternoon, we deployed the Wave 3 News Storm Tracker. It made its way down Interstate 64 over toward Crawford County. Winds are calm here now. We did have some very high wind speeds recorded earlier today. That was likely from a strong storm moving through parts of Crawford County, where in fact a tornado touched down. Wave 3's Ryan Hoke is in our studio with not only more on the storm, but when it will be surveyed and in fact some video from it.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin. That video coming in from parts of course, Crawford County, Indiana, near the Sulphur area. If we could put that up, it was very intense damage in some locations there. You could see that we had, of course, looked like an RV turned over. We sent the Wave 3 News Storm Tracker to check out that damage. The tornado destroyed an outbuilding, ripping off the roof. The woman who lives there was at work when she got a call from a family member.
She called and said the garage has been hit by a tornado. I said, what? She texted me that. Then she calls all frantic and upset, which I understand. And I thought she was just kidding, blah, 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 piece 10 off. So I leave work early and come home to this mess.
The very good news was that no one was hurt. The family keeps tools in that outbuilding. Kevin, we were very lucky today not to hear about any injuries from both the flooding and the tornado that happened in southern Indiana. A very active day for many folks.
Yeah, no doubt about it. On a day where we expected scattered thunderstorms, we've had a historic flood and a unwarned tornado that moved through the viewing area. Back out here live in Salem, Indiana, the roads are shut down, going to be for a little while, despite the fact that the water is receding. The number one question we've been getting from the fire chief, the mayor, the Department of Natural Resources, who are, by the way, towing boats around the city, is what's tomorrow going to be like? We're going to answer that question coming up in just a few minutes with a complete weekend forecast. We do have more rain, more thunderstorms, and the potential for severe weather. We'll have all of that coming up in just a few minutes, guys.
Check out that hail pounding a Wave 3 News viewers' home in Elizabethtown this evening. Damage to homes and vehicles stretching from E-Town to Seymour. Hailstones covering some neighborhood streets, making it look almost like snow. But some homeowners in Wave Country weren't so lucky. Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Kogan.
And I'm Scott Reynolds. This video showing the power of today's winds out there. Mobile homes and barns destroyed, dotting the ground. This is in Henry County.
This happened in the town of Eminence, about 45 minutes northeast of Louisville. Air 3 flying over one mobile home there, half of its roof stripped by those intense wind gusts with a family of 5 inside.
You can see the grass there covered with hail debris scattered everywhere. A tree knocked on its side. Well, we talked with the next door neighbor, Tony Grigsby. He says the storm practically came out of nowhere.
And I told my wife to hurry up and get the car in the garage, and then all of a sudden it just went whoom, and it was just coming sideways, and just this was all, it looked like it snowed. Everything just started coming sideways and blowing real hard.
Amazingly, no one injured despite extensive property damage that will likely add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harnett and his team were on the air for a few hours tracking this destructive line of storms.
And Kevin joins us now live. And how high were those winds? And damage was also reported at an Elizabethtown mobile home park. Take a look. The storm made a mangled mess of one home, part of the roof now hanging from a power line. A neighbor says the home was already in the process, though, of being torn down.
They had this trailer half demolished already, but it was neat and it was laying flat and it was clean. When I saw the poles laying on the side, I felt so fortunate that my trailer didn't either flip or something come through my windows and get me.
Some of the debris damaged a couple of other homes nearby. No injuries reported. This area also saw a lot of hail, the piles so large that our photographer picked them up handfuls at a time. Several Bardstown homeowners have been calling their insurance agents to report hail damage. Take a look at these photos from Donna Carter in the Copperfield subdivision. Look at the damage done to the house by hail about a quarter size. You can see heavy damage to the siding of at least 2 houses there. So much hail covering the ground, too, that it actually looks like a snowstorm.
And as the storms moved out of the area, then it was rainbows spotted across wave country, and they were beautiful. Air 3 capturing one in eminence. Michelle Webb-Reckner sent us this beautiful shot from Georgetown. If you look closely, you can see it is a double rainbow. You can see the double rainbow a little better in this photo from Jesse Joe Myers in Scottsburg, Indiana. Now, you've been sending in hundreds of photos of the storm and the aftermath. We put together a slideshow with some of the best images, and you'll find that on wave3.com. And remember, you can stay ahead of the storms. Download that Wave 3 weather app. Well, it'll soon be one of the tallest buildings in all of Louisville. The Omni Hotel will reach a milestone coming up on this Friday. Crews about to reach that final height, 30 stories, and they'll celebrate with a topping out ceremony, including a bourbon baptism. We'll also get a hard hat tour of the pool, deck, the ballroom, and guest rooms. The Omni expected to open early next year. More than 600 guest rooms and 225 luxury apartments, a rooftop pool, and a bar, and also a market. And when it's complete, the Omni Hotel will be Louisville's 5th tallest building. It will stand at 394 feet. The Humana building is next at 417 feet. PNC Plaza just a few feet higher at 420. Then we've got the PNC Tower. That's the 2nd tallest building in the city at 512 feet. And at 400 West Market, the tallest building in the street. It's in the city. It's 35 floors and 549 feet tall. The skyrocketing homicide rate, combined with Louisville's heroin epidemic, overloading the Jefferson County coroner. And tonight she's asking the Metro Council for some money to help fix that problem. Here's a look at the number of cases the coroner's office has handled the past few years. In 2014, about 4,700. The number keeps soaring, up by 200 in 2015. By last year, up to 5,400 deaths. And this year, they expect to see even more, nearly 6,200 cases.
This year's 49 homicide victims are included in those numbers. So are the 2 to 3 overdose deaths coroners see every day. And there is nowhere to keep the bodies. Right now, the county leases 4 spaces in the state morgue, but they average 5 bodies a day. The city has to pay a private company to store the extra bodies. Barbara Wheatley-Jones asked the council for about $60,000 to build a morgue and funding for 3 additional deputy coroners to help speed up response time. It's official. Ground is broken for Derby City Gaming, a $60 million investment for Churchill Downs. But is it a big gamble? Thanks for joining us for Wave 3 News at 6. I'm Shannon Kogan. Scott Reynolds is off. This new venture will put hundreds of historical gaming machines at the trackside training facility. It's located off Poplar Level Road. And Wave 3 News reporter Connie Leonard joining us live from this location tonight. But I understand there are still some legal questions about this.
Pushed out the door.
They changed the locks.
Louisville's Hall of Fame coach literally locked out of his office.
It seems like to me that we had maybe a leaky roof, and to repair it, we burned the entire house down.
And what comes next could get ugly. Tonight, Rick Pitino's attorney talks exclusively with Wave 3 News.
What will it take to get Rick Pitino and Tom Jurich out the door? Tonight, we take a closer look at their complex and lucrative contracts.
Recruits and their families turning their backs on the Cards, how losing their primetime coach could cripple the program.
Team coverage of the blockbuster bribery scandal continues right now on
A tearful goodbye.
Officer Nick Rodman, rest easy, my friend, and we will take it from here.
To a hero in blue. Celebrating the life of Officer Nick Rodman.
A child hit by a car and rushed to the hospital.
They're always speeding, they're always going fast.
We were rolling as a driver was taken away in cuffs.
A tragic turn for a Louisville family on spring break. A father dies saving his daughter from a dangerous riptide in the Gulf of Mexico. The news starts now.
Expect more right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
This is the final call for 123 Baker. Officer Nick Rodman.
A final salute for one of Louisville's finest. A community mourns as LMPD officer Nick Rodman is laid to rest.
Taking guns off the streets of Louisville.
You can't have drugs when you have firearm, carry firearm.
AK-47s, AR-15s. We ride along with LMPD's 9th Mobile Division as they try to take back your streets.
Coming up, a bizarre accident at a Radcliffe dealership that destroyed a dozen cars.
You don't want to be somewhere where you're not wanted.
Ousted athletic director Tom Jurich talks about parting ways with U of L and what's next. The news starts now.
With breaking news happening now, this is Wave 3 News.
And breaking right now, a manhunt underway in Hardin County. This man wanted for a deadly shooting in Radcliffe. A man and woman shot right in front of a young child.
A state trooper rushed to the hospital.
It's always dangerous, you know, there's always a chance of someone losing their life.
A chaotic night spanning 3 separate scenes in Jeffersonville. Team coverage tonight. An eruption of violence. 6 people shot in West Louisville in just 1 hour. Classic car owners taken for a ride.
I'm out in total at this point about $52,000.
Restoration work never finished. Cars reported stolen. And the owner? Nowhere to be found. The news starts now. Saying thank you to the family that gave her a second chance at life. This teddy bear carrying a powerful message. The news starts now. Given the gift of life after another family's tragedy, how one heart transplant recipient is keeping her donor's memory alive forever.
In the market for a used car, make sure to do your research. Thousands of flooded cars driving on Kentucky roads, and the owners may not even know it. We'll show you what to look for when you go to the lot.
And a daring drive-through burglary. McDonald's now offering a $500 reward to catch that thief. Social media, roast beef sandwiches, and an ambitious young boy. We launched the hashtag Looking for Lewis. Tonight, we found him.
And would you pay $76,000 for one Thanksgiving dinner? The extravagant meal being served at one New York City steakhouse. In a nation divided, 2 Louisville boys are going viral for their story of acceptance. How best friends and a buzz cut are uniting people across the globe.
We're tracking storms as they move closer to wave country. Some of these are powerful, even tornado warnings just to our west. What can we expect here through the overnight hours? I've got the timeline for you when we come back.
And policeman or linebacker? What led to this dramatic takedown in California?